Hi, I'm Nick from Sundance, and I'm at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. We're going to take a look at a brand new model from Jeanneau. It's the NC 795 Sport Series 2. So this is the updated version of the NC 795 Sport, and there's a lot of improvements and changes we're going to take a look at. We're going to do a quick walkthrough first, and if you'd like to stick around, we'll take a lot more in-depth look at the boat. As you can see, it's trapped in the display here, so we're not going to be able to take it out on the water and do any performance testing. We'll save that for another video. I'm also not going to talk about price because that can be highly dependent on how a boat is optioned, what market you're in, and distance from the factory to the dealership, freight costs, things like that. First, for a quick walkthrough of the 795 Sport Series 2, we have a 250 horsepower Yamaha outboard. The Sport is quite a bit different than the 795 Weekender model. Different lines, different styling, different layout. The Sport has these deep, wide side decks on both sides and a different layout inside. Two large pilot house doors, a berth and a head forward. And then 3 seats up here for running the boat, a sink. Starting in the back of the boat, we have a swim ladder on the starboard side, a nice solid grab rail to hold on to when you're climbing out of the water, and then the 250 Yamaha, which in this case has electronic steering, which is nice, so there's not hydraulic steering lines running back to it. It's all electronic. This is the latest tech from Yamaha. It's a great power plant. And we have a gas fill right here, and a wash down right here. Whoops, which is on. And then a ladder to keep kids and pets secure. This lifts up and has a roller on it, so when you trim the outboard out of the water, it won't impact, or if it does impact, it'll just lift up on the roller. In the cockpit, there are 3 fold down seats that work really well. They fold down really easy. I'm not gonna sit down on it because it's wet. So there's one there, we got one over here, and we have one in the middle. Whoa, there we go. Let's see, let's open them all up. Here we go. And then we have this starboard side boarding door, which is actually, it's one of the larger ones I've seen. It's pretty nicely sized. So if you're side tied to the dock, you can get on and off the boat through there. And then because it has outboard power, there's a lot of storage under the cockpit floor. We can take a look at that. Let's start over here. So we have some storage and batteries on this side, and some through-hull access that's probably for the air conditioning, is my guess. Maybe it might be a raw water intake for a head, possibly. And these lock down just like that. To open up the middle, I'll just pop this table off. And you can open it up with the table on there, but it restricts how far the hatch will open. So it's best to just pop the table out. So down below, nice spot to toss fenders, lines, or store. You could store an inflatable paddleboard in here, even an inflatable kayak. We have the raw water intake for the air conditioning system. We can see right there, there's a pump and a strainer. So this goes forward on the forward sun pad, well, the forward seating, to convert it into a sun pad. Fuel tank access here. So, and access to the fuel filter for the Yamaha engine is right here. My left hand's on it. It's a nice aluminum fuel tank. And on the starboard side, more storage. And this one's just storage, no batteries, no equipment, just storage. Over here on the port side, we have a live well or bait box. So up in the Northwest, most people would use this to keep crab in, to keep your crab you catch alive. Up above, we have the cockpit, the optional cockpit sunshade, and it's retractable on this one, so it will slide in and out if you want more sun or less sun. And then these optional cockpit spotlights. These are nice for using the cockpit at night, whether you're fishing or just entertaining. And then walking inside the 795 Sport Series 2, the doors, there's 3 door panes, so it opens very wide. And we have 3 very comfortable seats with a drop-down bolster. So they're easy to get around and they're comfortable to sit in. And on the port side, we have a sink and my cell phone. And on the starboard side is a fridge. Down below, so this boat has air conditioning installed, which is not how we would normally order them in the Northwest. We would normally have a diesel furnace instead. But this one, because it has air, the air conditioner is in here. There's also some AC electrical breakers. And then over here, we have the DC electrical and some DC fuses and storage. And then this pole, you're probably wondering what this is. This is a table. So we loosen this up here and pull this pin out. And then you can tighten this up and we have a table. So that's a nice design. I mean, it just doesn't take up any space when it's in the top. And then on both sides, we have these large sliding pilot house doors. They are massive. So you can have a lot of air circulation. Also have really good access to both side decks, which are deep and very secure. Both doors lock, so we can lock them in the open position so they don't move around while you're underway. I'm gonna close them to keep the air conditioning in. And then at the helm, again, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to run the boat today because it's trapped in the show here. But anyway, we'll talk about the helm. We have a nice Garmin multifunction screen. This will do a lot. Depth sounder, fish finder, chart plotter. You can hook a radar up to this. I don't think this boat has it yet, but it's an easy add. Fusion stereo, Yamaha display, so that's going to give us our critical engine information from the Yamaha. Bow thruster, windshield wipers, and windshield washer fluid. This switch is power for this screen. And then, let's see, windlass horn, some lights, so cockpit lights, high-low here. There's some LED light bars up on the cabin top forward. That's this switch here with a high-low. And then some water pump, looks like the domestic water pump, the wash down shower pump, and a bilge pump override, anchor light, nav light, and then some chargers here, so USB charging plug, Yamaha ignition down here, and the VHF and spotlight control up here. Down here we have a 110 outlet, a GFI breaker, and then a light to indicate reverse polarity. So normally that would not be illuminated, which it's not right now. Forward in the berth, we have an opening window with a privacy shade right here for ventilation and light. We have a 110 outlet over here, air conditioning vent here, which feels really good right now. And this is the filler cushion. To fill this in, this is just the cushion piece. I'm not sure where the platform for it is. This isn't our boat, we're at a boat show. As you can see, there's plenty of room for one person. And with the filler cushion in there, there is enough room for 2. This boat you can still absolutely overnight on. You have a head, you have a berth, you have a sink. So the head in the 795 Sport Series 2 is bigger than it was in the Series 1, and they've added a sink, and then we have an opening window with a privacy shade right here, access to the back of the helm and the dash area, and the electronics right here. Storage cabinet with, looks like, windshield washer fluid. Holding tank gauge, and this button is probably the overboard discharge for the holding tank, since it's a manual head, and there's an extra button there. The side decks and the exterior flow around this boat are one of the things that really make it special. So the cabin is offset a little bit to port on the Series 2 and gives us a wider starboard side deck. The port side is still, it's deep and it's recessed like this and it's protected, but it's just a little bit narrower to maximize the space inside of the cabin. So we'll walk up the starboard side, come back on the port side, and take a look at what we have up on the bow. And we have a holding tank pump out right there about midship on the starboard side. Of course, access to the cabin through one of the two really wide side doors on the boat. On the top of the cabin, there's the optional factory roof rack, so you can put your toys on top, like a bike, a kayak, paddle boards, a lot of different options. There's optional LED light bars. These work really well at night. They're really bright. They're Hella brand. They're a high quality light bar. They're not the cheapo ones that you get on Amazon. And then further back, the radar mast with radar. Looks like I incorrectly stated earlier when we were at the helm that this boat didn't have radar, but it does. And then it's got a spotlight. Spotlight's controlled down at the helm. And VHF antenna and rocket launchers. That's those fishing rod holders there, those rocket launchers. And the anchor light up top. So this is one of the new features of the Series 2, is the seating and option to convert this to a sun pad up here on the bow. And this is clearly came from the 895 Sport, where this was done. Everybody liked that a lot. This boat also has the forward sunshade, which is supported by the two poles that stick into sockets up on the bow. And we have this table that pops out when you're not using it. And then forward, we have this simple but effective ladder for boarding. If you beach the boat, you can get on and off the boat with this ladder. Oh, and then under this cushion is access to the chain and rode. It's the chain locker, so the windlass dumps the chain and rode down into that locker. The port side deck, here it is. It's, like I said earlier, it's a little bit narrower than the starboard side deck, but it's still a big, deep, serious, safe and secure side deck. So kids, pets, they're very secure going up and down this side deck. It is a little narrower. You kind of have to sidestep, but it's a great trade-off because it maximizes the volume inside the cabin, and on the starboard side you have a huge side deck. So your main access to the bow is that starboard side, but then you still have this great secure access on the port side, and the port side door, same door, extra large door, easy access in and out of the cabin. And these doors lock open, of course, so when you're underway, you can lock it top and bottom and they won't go anywhere. Now, speaking of these doors, you can order this boat without these doors. And in its place, there's an optional galley unit that goes out here, because you have those two extra large side doors to get into the cabin, making this not totally necessary. Now, some people would prefer to have the ease of access and circulation through this door, and some people are going to prefer to lose this door and have that optional galley unit instead. We do have one on order with that configuration, and I'm curious to see. I haven't seen it yet. Since this is a new model, I haven't seen that option, but I'm excited to see it. There's also an optional clear live well that you can get in that galley unit. Thanks for watching. That was the 795 Sport Series 2. As I said earlier, we'll do some performance testing when we can get our hands on one of these boats back at our dealership in the Northwest, and we'll do another video on that. And for pricing information, option information, and to put your name on a production slot for one of these, contact your local dealer and we'll help you out. Thanks a lot.